Welcome to a special edition of the Earthborne Games podcast. I'm your host, Anders Fischer. That's never going to get old. I'm going to do it every time. My name's actually Andrew Fischer. Anders is not with us today, but we do have another special guest who we'll get to in a second. So all of the remote members of the Earthborne team are in town this week. So we've been doing all sorts of things together, and we thought for the occasion, we wanted to do a special edition of the podcast. So this is our Earthborne Rangers Rules cast. We have, with me today, we have Maxine Newman.
Hello.
And our special guest from out of town. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Hello. I'm known to some people as Sean, but primarily as ChubFrog, as our viewers know.
Yep, so regulars on the Discord will know ChubFrog. You've kind of gotten a reputation for being our kind of rules expert, rules lawyer, as it were.
Reputed rules expert.
And so we've kind of thought it would be fun to, since we're in person, to talk rules today and kind of get a little nitty-gritty on the podcast and talk a little bit about... we're going to talk about some of the high-level Rangers questions, common rules that people get wrong, or are confused about, some of our FAQs, that kind of thing. And then we'll get into the stickier questions, the ChubFrog questions,
Okay.
and kind of talk some minutia,
So the first part of the podcast will be things that are actually useful to people who are listening. And then the second half of the podcast will just be for rules sickos like myself.
Yeah.
You just want to discuss them for the sake of it.
Yeah, so we'll have normal people and rules sickos sections here.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll have to rename my headers in our notes.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's kind of the plan. We're also going to be doing our standard podcast segments and everything. We'll do what's happening and stuff we're into, which we were already having difficulty deciding on over lunch, I think.
Yeah, we're not into anything.
Yeah, we're very boring this week. Well, we'll see.
I feel like we've been broadening the scope, especially to accommodate Evan, of the what we're into segment.
Yeah.
To be more accommodating to boring adults who don't have time to do anything fun.
I think the show notes even thing says stuff we're into, parentheses, or things we're excited about in life. So pretty wide. But yeah, so you've been in town. Have you ever been to the Twin Cities before?
This is my first time.
So what do you think?
I like it. It's not like a walkable city like some cities I've visited before, but I like the culture and I like the various haunts we've visited in my short time here.
I will say there are sections of the city that are more walkable than others.
Yeah, like if you were staying where like Maxine you live, like there's in Uptown, you can actually walk to quite a bit.
Uptown is more walkable for sure. It has its own set of problems, but it's more walkable.
Yeah, we kind of tucked you. You're in kind of an office park up in Roseville, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, you don't have as much.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
All right, I need to get to know Uptown.
Yeah, Uptown's pretty cool.
Uptown's cool.
Though I don't know, I lived there a bit in college, and I was like, I'm exhausted.
Yes, I feel that.
But it is a lot more walkable. There's the other thing I'll say about the Twin Cities is it's fairly bikeable. We got a lot of like bike lanes and stuff, which is super nice.
Yeah, I did notice that. I appreciate the bike lanes.
Yeah.
Though I bought like a brand new e-bike, so I could like bike to all our coffee shop meetings or like when we go to breweries or whatever. And I already have a battery issue. So.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Well, that's unfortunate.
Well, it was like in the 90s this week, so it was, I probably wouldn't want to use it anyway.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's funny, Corey. We calibrated. Corey is off screen or off mic for this podcast episode, so he is here. We debated miking him, but we decided it was funnier if he had to yell from off screen.
Yeah, I can yell podcast names.
Yeah.
As they come up.
I like when we were doing like the sound check, I used like my projecting unboxing voice, but then like as we're kind of dropping in the conversation, I realized I'm not going to keep that up for like.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry if I ruined your sound check.
Well, that's part of why these mics are good. They auto level.
Oh, that's true. Okay, all right,
Yeah. Good mics.
cool. Speaking of the unboxing, Maxine and I just filmed an unboxing of Rangers and the expansions. So I did a while back like an organizational video, and so we kind of updated it. So if you're getting all your brand new Ranger stuff and want to know how we recommend organizing it all, you can go check out that video. That should be live on YouTube. I guess you have to edit that one, Corey. So coming soon.
It may be out or it may not be out by the time
YouTube near you.
this premieres.
Yeah, slightly more edited than this podcast episode. So probably out sometime soon.
I'd like the viewers to know that Fischer has organized this box correctly, and the cards are in front of their associated dividers.
Yes.
We discussed that again in the video. And,
Yeah.
Well, like I was saying in the boxing video, in my prototype copy, I actually, since all my cards are vertical, I made like vertical versions of all the dividers, and I just made them double-sided, thinking, oh, this is superior to our one-sided dividers from the core set. But the problem is, I store it in that Game Genic box, and it's symmetrical.
Yeah.
So when you open it, you have no idea whether they're in front or behind the dividers. So I almost wish I'd made the dividers like one-sided. You know?
Yeah, I think that would be superior. You're just completely lost.
Yeah. So my box is like in like a quantum super state where they're both in front of and behind.
It's like you're always using someone else's box. You never know where the cards
Or like it's like a USB-A port, you know.
That's right.
Yeah. It's always going to be wrong the first time you check.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's do what's happening?
What's happening?
Anders doesn't commit to the double exclamation mark.
It's true.
Okay. So we just got an update from Naylor Games about fulfillment. So I'm going to quickly summarize. In the US, we're finishing up Wave 1 of fulfillment. And in Canada, we are just starting Wave 2. Wave 2 is going to include people like the self-ascribed pewter gang. So anybody with pewter miniatures. It's going to include the leftover Kickstarter copies, as well as people like address changes and such. So a lot of like folks like that are going to be in Wave 2. That's just starting in just starting in Canada, and going to be starting soon in the US.
As early as next week in Canada.
As early as next week in Canada. Over in Europe, we might start as early as next week as well. The UK stock is arriving later this month at the fulfillment centers. And so we'll be kind of getting in queue there, starting after that at some point, depending on where we land in the queue.
We don't want to forget our friends in Australia and New Zealand. I think their games are still on the water.
Is it still on the water? All right.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. The one other thing is replacement parts. We are shipping out replacement parts now. Like for anybody with stuff from their new copies they're opening up, we will be helping you out here shortly. I think that's it. Was there anything else from the update, Sean?
As far as fulfillment, I think that covers it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. And be patient with replacement parts.
Oh, and please be patient with the replacement parts. Like, we are undergoing a lot of logistics right now with, fulfilling the actual games themselves and everything. So we want to help folks out with replacement parts, and we're getting on that, but it may take a little bit of time.
But everybody's replacement parts, we'll get to them.
Yes. Other non-fulfillment news we've got, the Legacy of the Ancestors soundtrack has been finalized. So that's all locked in. However, Andrew told me to say the release is TBD. So that will come out at some point. It'll probably be slightly up to our marketing guru Corey behind the camera over there.
There's still more things to be done.
Yeah, there's still a bunch of other things to be done before we release that, but the tracks are there.
That's cool. We actually listened to a couple tracks.
Yeah.
When we met. Oh, they're so good.
They're so good.
Yeah.
Andrew's phone. We listened to them on Andrew's phone at the park.
We were like in a park, and just like Tom puts all of this beautiful effort into these like beautiful pieces with all sorts of real instruments being recorded and mixed together, and then we play it through a cell phone on a park bench.
But I've also listened to it on my setup at home, and the phone quality does not do it justice. So it's a treat.
Do you have? How much of an audiophile are you? What did
No,
you set up?
I'm not an audiophile, but it was superior to the phone.
Okay. I wasn't sure. When somebody says they're set up at home, it can get pretty elaborate.
Yeah.
let's see. Other kind of development news. We just delivered files, the first of 4 sets of files to Delano for...
Are we talking about the shadow drop again?
Yes.
Is this the 5th episode
The more we bring
in
it
a row?
up, the more people are going to want more news.
Andrew put it in his updates that he wanted us to talk about, so I'm talking about the shadow drop.
I feel like this is the 5th episode in a row that we've talked about the shadow drop. At this rate, it's a it's a well lit stark relief drop,
silhouette drop. It's
Just make it its own header in the show notes.
It's definitely it doesn't warrant being called a shadow drop at this point.
Yeah, no, at this point it's become just a drop.
Well, it's the hard thing about we want to be transparent with people, but also so if you don't announce something, it's super awkward because it's like, what do we just not speak about anything Maxine is doing?
I'm just killing time, really.
Yeah. Maxine's over here just playing games.
Yeah. Playing Deltarune on company time.
Yeah. And we mentioned that Eidolon, we started a internal testing bracket, which we got through round 1.
I got through round 2.
Oh, okay. How you doing?
I've 3-1. I've won 3 games and I've lost 1 game.
And Fischer, how are you doing?
But let's not talk about that. Oh man, so I built a deck that uses the unannounced, unpreviewed Omniworks Seeker, which is no fault of that Seeker's, but I kind of built my whole deck around this faulty premise, and I definitely took this attitude of building my deck of because often when we play internally, I'll just be like, let me make something weird and fun to try out an experiment. And for some reason, I think because I've been doing 20 other things, I took that same mentality to making my tournament deck, which I really should have been let me make
it like an efficient, good deck.
Yeah, so it was not it basically its fault is that it runs very light on defenses, but all of its econ was sources, so all of my econ had to go on the board, but I put no defenses in the deck. So if you're gonna run light on defenses, I feel like you need to run a lot of moment economy because it's safer. But I didn't, and so my deck's just bad. And then my opponent was pretty good, but I felt guilty. I feel like I need to rep our internal design team by actually being good at the tournament. Instead, I get obliterated.
You've only played the first round.
Yeah, I haven't played round 2 yet.
You can still come back.
Yeah, that's I'm playing round 2 in 4 hours, so we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, I didn't find time to participate in the bracket, but just from the reports I've heard, it's going really well, and all the games are really close. And it's everything you want to hear from a game, except for Fischer, who completely rolled over.
Except for some scrub who doesn't belong there.
Every single game I've had has been some of the closest games of Eidolon I've ever played.
That's awesome.
Yeah, every single game I've played has been both players had 2 agents secured and was going for the 3rd, and it was down to the wire, the last game I played, I had exactly enough shards and actions to grab the thing before they grabbed mine. It was so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I'm looking forward to having games like that.
Oh no.
It's my own. Like I said, it was my own fault. But it's been going really well. And to all of you, because I know a bunch of you who are participating in the bracket also listen to the podcast. Thank you all. It's been awesome how passionate everybody's been about Eidolon, and everybody we've played has been delightful. Some of the people we've played are recurring characters who have asked a bunch of questions on this show
it's
too.
True.
So,
yeah. I see you.
so thank you all. We really appreciate it. Anything else to report, Corey, on Eidolon?
I'm 1-1.
You're Corey's 1-1.
I didn't get rolled.
I'm redeeming myself for my poor presence on the videos.
But it's been a lot of fun. So
yeah.
All right. Well, I think that's all of our news.
I believe so.
All right. Are we ready for rule stuff?
Let's do it.
Always ready to talk rules.
Okay. All right. I have a little intro here, but I guess we already kind of introduced the concept. So we're going to start with kind of our FAQ, the average player section, and then we'll go to we'll announce when we're moving over to rules sickos. So I guess to start, let's talk a little bit about So yeah, we're dedicating this. We were just talking about it a line, but we're dedicating this to Rangers. We're going to be talking a little bit about some of the expansions, but a lot of this is going to be dedicated to the core set and the core campaign. We will let you know if we're going to delve into anything that could be kind of considered spoiler territory. Mostly, this is going to deal with kind of core rules and things. But yeah, so FAQ stuff. I think we kind of talked on Monday about different rules from our FAQ, or rules were commonly, like Sean, ChubFrog, is always in Discord helping out new players and like talking about which questions you see most frequently.
Yeah, things that come up a lot.
Yeah. So I've got a list here, and I'll kind of like keep track, but I guess like I'll hand it to you. Which like FAQ things popped out to you the most? What things do you think you get a lot of questions about?
Oh yeah, well I feel like a lot of players find out maybe on their third session or so that not all the cards on the table are active just because they're ready.
That's true.
This more applies to if you're playing a multiplayer game with multiple Rangers. So in most cases, when you perform a test, the ready cards within reach of you are all active, but the ready cards within reach of other Rangers are not usually active. And why active is important is because that means their challenge effects don't activate when you draw your challenge card. So some players initially assume ready and active are basically synonymous. And so it can start off making the game very difficult on themselves when all the cards on the table at all times can be a threat to you.
Yeah, especially in like 4-player.
Right.
If you let every single challenge effects fire on every single ready card, it's just
chaos.
Wild.
Yeah.
And it's part of the reason we introduced the active terminology in the first place as distinct from ready, in this idea that like when a player's taking their turn, it's only stuff up along the way and then stuff within reach of them that's firing. And we basically had to limit that way because like to help with player scaling. Yeah, I think some of that confusion probably I think because active and ready are so synonymous, I think that adds to some of the confusion.
Yeah. The one exception, of course, being if we were playing a 3-player game and I was interacting with a card in Fischer's within reach area, then all the cards within reach of you are active.
Yes.
That's like the one exception.
Yeah, it kind of like turns on that area of the board.
Right.
That's actually something I think we've found as we've been writing rules too, is that like we almost we always use the active terminology in context of cards, but like actually for teaching the game, I almost want to be able to use the active terminology with whole areas and say like this area is active.
Yeah.
Yep. I often use that as a shorthand.
Yeah. Same.
And like I think looking at in retrospect, there's probably some things we could have done to differentiate the terminology better, like maybe use exhausted and unexhausted because ready and active are so synonymous, or like we could have been like active area, but then it's tricky because then like in card text you might need to say a card in an active area is like there goes a whole line of your card.
Yeah. There's only so much space we have in those challenge effects.
Yeah, we do communicate a lot in one word with active, but it can be hard to unpack if you're not well versed in it already.
Yeah. So those of you who are just starting, make sure only the cards in front of you or in front of the person with which you're interacting are active.
Yeah. Plus along the way.
Yep. A stickier rules question we did put under this one is, so what if I'm interacting with something up along the way? So everything up along the way is active. Everything, it's always up along the way is always active, for the record. Then everything within reach of me is active because I'm the person taking the turn. And then we start resolving challenge effects. Challenge effects start up on top and resolve down. So they're coming down, and then a challenge effect that's resolving during this test moves a card that was in an active area to an inactive area, or vice versa. What happens? Is that card still active? Does the activeness change?
So I know we said we haven't defined active areas, but it's a useful shorthand. So the areas that are active during a test remain active throughout the whole test. if a card moves to an inactive area, that card is no longer active, even if it's still ready, even if it was active at the beginning of the test. Once it's in an inactive area, it's not active, so you won't resolve any challenge effects on it, and any challenge effects that you're resolving, which refer to active cards, won't affect that card. It's now in an inactive area.
All right, yeah.
It also won't activate the inactive area that it moves to.
Oh man, can you think about that? Like every card as it goes out starts activating everything.
No, thank you.
Okay, to go even deeper.
Yeah.
So if I'm resolving my challenge effects up in the surroundings, I get to, along the way, I resolve all those challenge effects, I get to within reach. I have like 4 cards within reach, okay? I resolve cards 1 and 2, and card 2 is resolving, and it moves card 3 that I haven't resolved yet up along the way.
Okay. So card 3 is still active.
Yes.
And you've moved it along the way.
Yeah.
But you're already resolving cards down here within reach.
Yeah. So what is card 3? But I drew a sun effect in card 3 now up along the way. It has a sun effect on it. What do I do?
So what happens here is card 3 has sneakily avoided the sun challenge icon, and since you're already resolving down here along the way, you will not, or down here within reach, you will not return along the way to resolve active cards there. So the challenge effect on card 3 in this case will never resolve. You'll just go to card 4, and then you'll be done.
Correct. Yep. Yeah. So you kind of top to bottom all the way down. Sorry, did I?
No, okay. You're good. Yeah.
Yeah, and so that kind of order is very important, and like to your point, Sean, it's very like the area is almost more important than the card itself as far as like what's activating or not.
And a similar situation to moving cards is if cards enter play while you're resolving challenge effects.
Oh yeah.
And it's much the same. Where if it enters play in an area
you're already
finished resolving, then it's not going to resolve. If it enters play in an area that you're still resolving or have yet to resolve, then you will end up resolving it. The card that just entered play.
Yeah.
Can often be a dangerous situation.
Oh, it makes it so brutal if like a layer cards are like often cards that spawn other cards. It spawns a card, and we also put the same challenge effect on the spawned card that spawns it in the first place. Like in one of Maxine's unannounced products.
I was about to say, yeah.
Those are it's so annoying.
Just leap out at you.
Well, it's always funny is like I think we've talked about Andrew's love of like brutal things in past episodes, but like every time it happens to Andrew, he'll be like, "Oh my god!" and like Maxine will be like, "I'm sorry," and he's like, "No, I love it."
That's so true.
That's very Andrew.
Yeah. The other thing to know about while we're on the subject of things moving and challenge effects firing, a challenge effect won't fire more than once. So if there's a challenge effect along the way and it moves something down here and then does something else, and then you get to down here and you're resolving these challenge effects, it won't happen again.
Yeah, that's a really good note. You can't like multiple trigger.
Yeah.
Even though sometimes you might want Calypso to add like an extra progress or something. All right, Sean. I know I have the lists, and now I'm putting you on the spot. But what else do you remember? Do you have other things you can think of?
I like how I wrote you a list, and now I'm being quizzed to come up with the list again on the spot.
We came up with the list together.
That's true.
So I know a common point of confusion is the Ranger token, and what it means when your Ranger token is on a card in different places on the board, as opposed to when your Ranger token's back with you on your roll card.
Yeah, because we kind of thematically describe it as like, there are some cards where it represents, oh, my attention is there, but a lot of them are like, oh, I'm physically personally on that card.
Yeah.
Yeah, the flavor varies depending on how the card is using the token.
And so that can lead people to make some assumptions, right?
Right. So you might think that because your token is on a card along the way, for example, it might lead you to the intuition that, oh, I'm up here, so if I want to interact with something in the surroundings, then all these other things aren't between me because I'm up here.
Yeah.
Like if you're playing Monopoly, you land on a property, you're at that property. If your thimble's in the jail, you can't move anymore because you're in the jail. Rangers is a little different, where the way the Ranger token is a little more abstract and doesn't actually affect what is considered to be between you when you interact, when you perform a test. So regardless of where your ranger token is on the table. Anything right here within reach of you is between you if you interact along the way or in the surroundings, and anything along the way is between you if you're interacting in the surroundings, regardless of where you happen to have your ranger token at the moment.
Yeah. So for folks who I know, like the vast majority of our listeners play a lot of Rangers, but in case you're just getting into Rangers or listening to us before you've cracked open your copy, when you interact with things, cards on the board are kind of at different distances from you in these different areas, and anything between you and the thing with which you're interacting, the card you're performing the test to influence or the test that it's on. Anything between you can kind of get in your way. This can cause you to suffer fatigue. Also, like if things have the obstacle keyword, they'll just stop you from going there altogether. So what's between you and things does matter a lot. And to my point about the theme of the Ranger token, like some people can think about, I'm going over here, therefore there's nothing between me because I'm there already.
Right.
And I think you're right. Like that was kind of, it's interesting. Rangers in early design went through a lot of different iterations, some that were a little closer to Arkham, where there's like, where you are is very important. Like for those of you who haven't played the Arkham Horror LCG, like there's a very strong sense of place where all of the locations have this adjacency and you kind of move. All the different people are at different locations, so there's like this very kind of strong visual map. And Rangers messed with that for a while, but we ended up, because of the wide range of what we wanted to represent and just the nature of the storytelling in the game, we ended up dialing it way back and going fairly abstract. And so, it's like what's within reach of me, what's along the way from me. It's all this very abstract idea so that you can kind of create that story and create that picture for yourself of like where spatially is that wolf and that buck, or like, am I climbing on this thing or not? But I think the danger there is if we get too concrete in how we talk about a given mechanism, it can suddenly, there's this nebulous picture that lets you kind of paint the picture in your mind as the player, but then suddenly we're defining something really concretely. And so like, I think if I had one regret, not about the mechanics of the Ranger token, but just how we talk about it, like I maybe would have put more front and center that it's about your attention instead of your physical presence.
Like, what are you focusing on?
Yeah,
I think with Rangers, since it's a game that is designed to be kind of open and like almost like kind of like playing an immersive sim, if you've played those kind of video games where different cards can come out in different combinations, and there can just be emergent interactions that maybe the designer didn't necessarily intend. And so the definitions of things being more abstract as far as how they are in relation to each other kind of allows you, as you're playing, to kind of create a narrative for what's happening as these different interactions play out, where if different sections of the table were very strictly defined and different emergent interactions were happening, it might be harder to make sense of what these are representing if they all represent these very locked down, defined things. But the abstraction kind of lets you create the story.
It's a little more forgiving in that creative space. Yeah,
right, and it kind of works well with the emergent interactions that the game has.
I agree.
Yeah,
it's a good way of putting it.
All right, FAQ wise, I've picked on Sean a couple. Maxine, you're even, I don't know how good your eyes are, but you're even in spotting distance of my list.
See your list,
So what do you got for us? Do you have a FAQ type item?
Yeah, one thing that players ask a lot when they're first getting started and they're at the end of day one and they're trying to figure out what is tracked at the end of a day. That's something that we get that question very often. So, for example, if you're well, I don't want to say the name of the mission. It's the first mission in the game. Can I spoil it?
Yeah, I mean,
if you have a mission with tokens on it, for example, and you're trying to gather tokens on it or remove tokens from it, those tokens won't stay from day to day.
They won't stay? Now, Maxine, when I open up this rule book and I go to end of the day, it doesn't tell me that I need to remove those tokens and set it back to the way it was.
Are you looking to trigger my rant, Sean? I do think, like a lot of this assumption and questions about it, we present Rangers with a lot of like persistence, right? Like as an open world where you maintain where you are in this open world, and like you're telling this contiguous story in the theme. Every play session is this day, and so like I definitely think, and I think it's reasonable that a lot of people view it a lot like something like Seventh Continent,
right?
Where it's, or like Sleeping Gods, for example, right? Sleeping, like these games. They don't even have these play sessions built into them. They're instead, it's basically like a really long game that you play over like 12
one
hours.
really long session that you break down and then set back up again.
It just gives you a way to tear it down, and save it up. And so they kind of, I think a lot of people bring those conventions into this game, whereas we kind of were coming from the convention of individual play sessions.
Right. We're kind of like a legacy game where a lot of the legacy games, which are re-implementations of other games, you set up that game from the beginning every time you play it. Even though there are certain elements that carry over from your previous sessions.
And I think like some of that probably comes just from like at FFG, all of our campaign games kind of had the similar concession where it's like, it's always broken by play session.
And if there's something that is tracked from session to session, it'll usually tell you, or the setup for the game will tell you what you need to draw upon from previous games.
Yeah, so our rule book is written from this assumption that every time you set up and tear down, like you are fully setting up and fully tearing down, and the only things that are true on your table are what setup tells you to make true, and the only things that you track is what tear down in the rule book tell you to track. So that means if you're ever in doubt, just go into the instructions and really follow the instructions. Oh yeah, that's a good.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
The campaign, for those of you listening, we pulled out the campaign tracker that's on the back of the campaign guide here.
Yeah. So the stuff that is tracked is a lot of the stuff that's going to be on here. What missions you have unlocked and haven't completed will be the missions that enter play at the start during setup, and they'll tell you if there's something going on at the start of the day related to that mission. If it needs to gather tokens or something for the mission to be completed, you will have to start over because it won't keep the amount of tokens that it had the previous day. The weather, of course, is tracked by the day tracker at the top. So you'll need to look at that to see what weather it is. It won't be the same weather as yesterday, unless it is the same weather as yesterday. What else?
Well, like the notable events, and even pretty notably, missions that have progress bubbles, where you check off the bubble, that progress is checked off on here, so it is maintained day to day.
Right.
There's one kind of thing in the game that I think, I kind of wish maybe we should make a tracking sheet for, but a little mechanic we started kind of messing with is altering sets, and so we'll remove this card from this set permanently, and you just take it and you throw it behind a different divider. That mechanic currently is the only thing that can change day to day that's not tracked on here.
Right, that and your deck, right? Your deck and your
deck,
displaced card.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, your player deck is something we assume you would have a deck box.
So the way I think of it is things that are tracked between day to day are either written on the campaign tracker or affect the actual way you store your cards.
Right.
Like if this card's now in my deck, I store my deck with that card in it with my deck divider.
Yeah.
And so anything that's telling me to change the way I'm storing my sets of cards and anything that's written on the campaign tracker. Other than that, it's not going to persist from day to day.
Yeah, exactly. And so as you're tearing down, if we don't give you an explicit instruction to track something in that way, it is not tracked. So those tokens are lost, and really notably, the helping hand missions that you'll find throughout the game, those are lost as well. So. And there's occasional missions you'll run into in the story where they might flip. You'll achieve a condition on that mission, and it'll tell you to flip, but not record the name of that mission on your mission tracker. And those also don't track their progress since it's not recorded.
Yeah.
And so if you start a new day, you're back to the part that is recorded.
A lot of times the campaign guide will tell you when that's the case. It'll say, if you don't finish this today, you might lose out on the opportunity and you'll have to start over again. So watch out for that.
Yeah, I think, honestly, if we were writing the second edition Rangers rulebook, I probably would we do a lot of that to preempt some of these assumptions. I think I probably would preempt more assumptions in like the teardown.
Sure.
Like when I said Sean was looking to trigger my rant earlier, because I have a rant about like you have to. There's so many people bring in different pre-assumptions with a game like Rangers, where it's bringing in baggage for some people from card games, for others from RPGs, for others from like interactive novels. There's different pre-assumptions, and so it's like, which ones do we address, right? And do we address any? And so I think there's some people whose philosophy is you address none. But we bring in our own pre-assumptions about like what kinds of games like it's based on. So I think addressing a few like pre-assumptions that people might bring in is worth it, and I think I would add some to Teardown and like to explaining the between game ritual a bit more.
There's some danger in addressing some individual assumptions as well too, because if you start saying this isn't tracked and this isn't tracked, people might start assuming that anything you didn't name must in fact be tracked.
Yeah, exactly. That's a really good reminders mean that like anytime there isn't a presence of reminder, it's like, what does that mean? There is something there? Yeah, it's a tricky balance to strike for sure.
Now, if I have a card in play with the persistent keyword, doesn't persistent mean they're going to stay between days?
Persistent means they'll stay when you travel from one location to another, because typically when you travel from one location to another, you clear out all the path cards that are in play. But if they're persistent, they'll stay in play. That's a good point, though.
Now I get it.
All right. So now we're getting into slightly more kind of specific. We've dealt with some pretty high level things right now, but one topic I thought would be interesting to talk about is searching for cards. So one mechanic we have is you'll sometimes be asked to search for cards from that aren't in play, and like it's tricky because there's a lot of places cards could be. That card very often is in the box. There's a lot of cards in the box, but it could also be like that card can end up in a deck or a discard or in play itself, even though you're told to search for it. So where do I look for a card when I search for it? Do you know the answer off the top of your head?
It depends.
Well, that's going to depend a lot
Yeah.
on the wording of the search effect.
It's true.
So most search effects are actually going to tell you where to search for a card. It'll say search the path deck or search your ranger deck.
Or search the collection.
Right,
Yeah.
once in a while. Now the trickier one that has some built-in rules that might not be intuited right away is if the effect tells you to search a particular set. The most common one's probably search the general set. Because the general set has a lot of cards that just come into play in specific situations or story moments.
Yeah.
So if you're told to search a set, the first thing you'll do is find the divider for that set in the collection and look through it and see if the card's there. But if the card is not there, now this is only if you're told to search a set.
Yeah.
If the card is not in the set where you searched, you can also look through any decks or discard piles that the card could be in.
Yeah. Typically, if the set is currently in use,
Right.
then that's where you'll go. Is you'll search through the deck and discard the path deck and discard to see if that card is in use. If it is, then cool, you've grabbed it.
Yeah. So it just basically means go find the card. When we tell you to search for the set, search the set. It's like go find the card wherever it might be, basically. While we're in search, I do think notably another kind of subtle rule that I don't think many people misplay this one is next.
Yeah.
Which is like we'll tell you to search for the next thing, or just if we tell you to search for a prey, you can search for any prey you want. You just look for a prey, like search the path deck for a prey. You just get to pick up the path deck, look through it, pick a prey you want. But if we tell you to search for the next prey, you'll go top card down until you find a prey. And basically it just means if we tell you to search for the next, we don't want you to have a choice.
Yeah.
It's going to be random.
For those of you who are visually inclined, sorry for people who are listening to the podcast without the video, but you just take cards from the top and you would just go like this until you find, in this case, it was the second card was a prey. Find it, and then you put this back and shuffle, and then you're done.
All right, other fiddly FAQs we have. fiddly, but more specific than our kind of broad discussion topics. So attached cards.
Yeah.
So we can attach cards in our game, which basically means take the card, put it with the other card, or like we kind of put it under. Bit like, like an enchant creature in Magic or something. But we use attaching to represent a lot of different stuff in our game. So I think a very common genre of question we get asked is like, something affects a card, does it affect the attached card? So like, I exhausted the card, does that mean everything attached to it also exhausts? Okay, I move the card, does that mean the thing attached to it moves?
Yes.
Yeah.
But if you move the attachment, it won't move.
Yes, like the attachment moves to a new card, the other card won't come with it.
Right.
So there's kind of like a slight hierarchy of what the attacher and the attachee.
Yeah.
And one question I hear a lot is, can I use Oru to remove a being that's attached to the caustic mulcher? Can I move that being to another area to get them away from the caustic mulcher? But as Maxine pointed out, a move effect won't work on a card that's attached.
Right. It is attached. It needs to be detached in order for it to move elsewhere.
Oru could move the caustic mulcher, in which
Yes.
case all the attached cards would move with it.
Yeah.
But yes, so movement does impact it, but like exhausting the card does not. So even if a card exhausts, the attached card will remain ready. However, if that card itself is like a being that's face up, you could still avoid that being and exhaust it itself. So you can still interact with it like any other card. It's not like hidden away. It is still interactable and is present on the board. That being said, often they're attachments, so they're not beings, so you can't interact with them.
Yeah. Similarly, they'll gain or spend tokens independently of the card that they're attached to. So like if you have a gear with an attachment on it and they both have tokens, that doesn't mean that they add those tokens together or anything like that. Mm-hmm. They'll have those tokens independently of one another.
Now, how about traits? If a card's attached to another card, does it gain the traits of the attachment?
Okay, now we're getting into assumptions. You mentioned tokens. We do have a token question, but actually, I think next I want to get into interacting.
Interacting?
Yeah. So, okay, I know we have a lot of interacting questions. So, Sean, ask me your interacting questions.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you remember them?
I don't remember them. But when you were talking about exhausted attachments, it reminded me of a question.
Okay. Yeah. Shoot.
I guess sometimes can you interact with a card that's exhausted?
You can. Yes. So you can always interact with the card. You can always perform a test on a card. I mean, unless a card says otherwise, and it's like you can't interact with this when it's exhausted. But yes, you can, and in fact, it is often safer to do so since it's not active.
That's true.
So like avoiding something and then interacting with it in some way can often be pretty useful because you potentially avoid some nasty challenge effects.
So that if I've exhausted a card, the text on that card is still there. If there's a test printed on the card, I can still perform that test that's on the exhausted card.
Correct.
Yeah. The quintessential example is Oru, who has a test to ready him when he's exhausted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You can only pet him when he's rolling over.
It's easier. You beat me to the joke.
Sorry. All right. Well, so interacting questions come down to, so interacting in the game is when you perform a test, when you interact with either the card you're performing the test on, or if the test is affecting a card, you are interacting with that card, and that kind of determines what's between you and the thing with which you're interacting. But there are some more sticky interacting situations. I think one fundamental one is just about a lot of people will play a card. A lot of newer players will play a card. If I target a card with a moment, I play a moment, it affects some card out here. Am I interacting with that card?
Usually not.
Yes, usually not.
Usually not.
Playing a card does not inherently mean you interact with it. You only interact with a card if you're performing a test.
Yeah. So if you use a what's it called? The shaper
Skywhip.
Skywhip. Thank you. If you're using a Skywhip, that is a test, so it will interact with the card that you're the path card that you're whipping. But if you're just playing something like Following Footsteps, that does not interact with the card that you're placing progress on.
Yeah, it means that this seems like a rather simple ruling, but it actually has a lot of implications to like the balance of effects. Because like directly doing something, it means directly doing something to a card on the board is incredibly powerful.
Yeah.
Like affecting a card out here with a test can be massive pain. If I have a bunch of stuff in front of me, I might have to take a ton of fatigue or even be blocked and risk challenge effects, all to do this test that might just add a couple progress, right? And it's a randomizer. So that means a card that I play and just add some progress directly to that card, it avoids everything in my way. It avoids risking challenge effects. So like it might seem a little boring or benign, but that card is like really good.
Yeah.
And
I was understanding.
Yeah. Spoilers. We said we weren't about spoilers.
Oh, sorry. Whatever. It's a reward.
I mean, Gesundheit.
All right. So if I perform a test, I'm interacting, and ready things that are between me are going to fatigue me. I'm going to have challenge effects activate. If I just use an exhaust effect, that's not a test, or I play a card that's not a test, I'm not interacting with anything I'm affecting.
Yeah.
So if I perform a test, I am interacting with what I'm affecting.
Correct.
Okay. So say I have Riri the Sparrowhawk has a test, and she lets me scout the path deck. So when I use that test, I'm interacting with the path deck, right?
Yeah. That's a very common question, and sometimes I kind of wish we made it so that you do interact with the path deck, but you don't. No. You are, if you perform the test on Riri, you are interacting with Riri. She is likely within reach of you, so you're just interacting within reach of you. So you do not interact with the path deck.
Yeah.
Okay.
Generally speaking, you never interact with a deck.
No, you don't.
Yeah.
You only interact with cards that are in play, surroundings, within reach, or along the way.
Yeah.
Like, I say I kind of wish we made you interact with the path deck, but not really, because that would create all sorts of... I'm sure you'd immediately show up to me with like 6 pages of rules questions, Sean.
Who, me?
We already
What? No.
like we messed around with effects in early design that were like, what if they're like attachments that attach to a deck, you know, things like that. And you know, like I'm sure that's space you could eventually play in to some degree, but it gets stickier, you know, like the more these exceptions layer on top of each other. All right, so other interaction things. So you asked the Riri one, but what if I perform a test on a card that's out within reach? I don't know what a good example is, but that, like Cordo. Cordo,
you can hunt a being.
Yeah, so I interact with Cordo's within reach of me, and then I interact with him and perform his test that adds harm to a being that's within reach of you. So am I interacting with Cordo? Am I interacting with the creature, the being within reach of you, or am I interacting with both of them? How does that work?
So this trips a lot of people up. So there's different rules if the test is on a card that's within reach or along the way or in the surroundings. I kind of lump these areas. These they don't have a collective name, but I kind of think of these like the world areas where path cards and locations and so on exist. So if you're using a test on a card in one of those areas, you're only interacting with the card that has that test. You're not interacting with any cards that test affects. So you only interact with the affected card if the test you're performing is one of your common tests, or a test on something in your player area, or a test on a card you're playing.
Yeah, and then those go out, but yeah, like you don't kind of like do 2 steps and leapfrog from Cordo to the next thing.
Yeah, you never interact with 2 cards simultaneously, 2 or more cards. You're always interacting with a card.
Well, yeah. So if a test though, so if I do a test and it affects a card within reach of me, I don't know what a good example of a test that is. That off the top of my head, which one?
I don't think there are many in the game that interact with multiple cards right now.
There's at least one, isn't there?
I can't tell you on the spot.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you either. But we do have a rule for this. If you are interacting with multiple cards, you look at the one that is farthest from you, basically,
right.
and resolve everything based on that. So you don't have to like suffer fatigue for every single card with which you're interacting, because that would get kind of wild.
Pretty rare, though.
Yeah.
I know we're talking to podcast land here, but I feel like we're just teaching Corey how to play.
I know. Corey's just kind of sitting. Are you comfortable, Corey? You're just on my stairs.
Well, I'm trying to pay attention.
There's going to be a test later.
Yeah.
yeah. It's going to be a final exam.
I know the rules.
Yeah, you really cover the intricacies of interacting with multiple cards when you were making the tutorial videos, right?
Yeah, I didn't actually think about. I didn't know you could interact with multiple cards.
Well, like Sean said, I don't know how many cards still do it.
Yeah, if there are any in the game, it's very rare.
Yeah. I made a ruling on it, or I think it's in the rule book.
It is in the rule book.
It is in the rule book. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I actually forgot about it.
It felt like something that was going to come up way more often.
Yeah. There is one card in particular that seems like it's interacting with a card, but it's not.
Which one?
That I want to draw attention to.
Yeah.
Oh, but it's a reward.
Oh.
So I don't know if I should bring it up.
How deep of spoilers?
Corey, put a timestamp we can skip to.
Yes.
And not hear about this spoiler.
Yeah. Just skip ahead like a minute if you don't want to hear any spoilers about rewards. Which card is it?
Well, we'll say it's a sketchbook.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Not a sketch pad.
Yeah, it's a sketchbook. That card seems like it's a gear that lets you choose a feature and then you do some stuff. Since it's not actually affecting that feature, it's not doing anything to the feature, it's not adding tokens or exhausting it or doing anything like that. It's not actually affecting the feature, so you're not actually interacting with it. It has to actually do something to the feature or the path card in order for it to be interacting with it.
So I can sketch something even if it's beyond an obstacle.
Correct.
I just have to be able to see it.
Yeah.
You don't need to run up and
Yeah.
Now
things don't get in the way of your sketching, which is
Now if you were using Syl sketchbook, if you're using a sketchbook to do a rubbing, then you'd need to go and interact with it.
I don't think we differentiate.
That'll be when we release the charcoal sketchbook reward card.
Yeah.
You'll find the charcoal in the arcology.
Okay, but we need to affect the thing. So how does what is doing a rubbing? How does it affect the thing you're walking up to? Doing a harm seems really dramatic for doing a rub. That would be an intense rubbing.
Yeah,
I'm going to defer to our game designer.
Add a single progress. There we go. Done.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, you have to kind of climb up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You have to get close. You have to. Yeah. That makes sense.
Designed.
Yeah. Done.
Okay. We've talked a bit about this. So we talked a bit about doing tests. After one of the effects of performing tests, very common, is to add progress and tokens to things. Pretty straightforward on the face value of it. But one thing that we do get questions about is some of our game effects will trigger on adding tokens. And we use, for those of you who haven't seen, we use second person for a lot of our language. So we often say you for effects, referring to kind of the owner of the card or the reader. But when it comes to triggers, this can get a little stickier. So some effects trigger when a type of token, when you add a token to a card, or some say when a token is added and are in passive voice. So when do these effects trigger versus not trigger?
So the ruling has been that if you move a token from one card to another card, you're not considered to have added that token.
You're not adding that token, so that does not trigger the effect.
Anything that's looking for when you add a token.
Yeah, the language is very precise.
In some places, but we'll discard the token and then add it instead of moving it. We don't move many tokens. We move the ranger token since there's one and only.
Right.
We don't there are on occasions we move tokens, especially over to missions and things, but we're more often adding and discarding tokens.
Yeah.
Now, if you redistribute a token, are you moving the token or are you adding the token?
I would call a redistribution a movement.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was told not to go off script and ask any questions, but I can't help
I didn't tell you not to go off script.
We don't have a script. We have a list of potential questions.
Yeah.
I was told not to ask any questions we hadn't prepared for. But Fisher's putting me on the spot, so I decided to put him.
Well, I mean, like, really, if you ask stuff we're not prepared to answer, it's really a Corey problem because he'll have to edit out us looking stuff up, you know? Because that is not good. Like,
keep it in there.
Just time lapse it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did, like, we prepared some, like, this list of questions just because, like, to be honest, you know, especially when people ask questions, especially ChubFrog questions, like, you know, Maxine and I will like spend a whole video call, like, you know, looking up rulings on Living Valley and every other card that references stuff like this to kind of figure out the interactions. We didn't think that would be very good listening.
Yeah.
So
20 minutes of us scrolling on our phone, like,
yeah, so we're trying to create some of our discussion around these topics so you can kind of see some of the things that we're thinking about, but we don't want to have you just listening to us flipping through the rule book and like bemoaning the mistakes we've made.
You're saying every time I come up with a new question to entertain myself, I'm tying up our lead designer and design director in a 20-minute video call.
Just a little bit.
I mean, a little bit, yeah.
But it's worthwhile though, because
usually, so you'll do the barrage of like 10 related questions, right? And then like usually like a couple of them are sticky, and then like the next 5 fall into place based on the sticky answer.
Yeah.
So it's not always that bad, but
yeah. There are a couple I haven't answered yet. Sorry.
I think I pasted some of these into the script. Were we mentally prepared to
answer
them live?
Yeah, all right.
Good.
I'm excited to find out the answer.
Oh no.
So we're at about an hour.
Yeah.
We have some other kind of like FAQ questions we put in the script as potential candidates.
Should we just rapid fire answer them?
So everybody watching live, vote now.
Okay, all right, yeah. Okay, let's rapid fire some of our other FAQs.
Yes.
Then we'll go to the rules sickos section.
Okay.
All right, so can I discard universal power cells to make room for another gear?
No. It's an attachment.
Whoa, that was intense.
You may not. I won't let you.
Is a card in the same area as itself?
Yes.
Yes, but if a rules effect says another card,
right,
that effect cannot affect the card that rules effect is on.
Right.
But if it just says a card in the same, like each card in the same area or whatever, but if it says each other card in the same area, then it doesn't affect itself.
I think our magazine jammed on our rapid fire.
Huh? Oh, sorry. Is Cerebusian Cyclone shuffled into the path deck if you travel during the turn when Howling Winds is on the Thunderhead side? And that's a lot of specific names for people.
Yeah.
Corey, just flash those all on the screen real quick so people know what we're talking about.
I want a card call out for every card. Our magazine jammed again. All right. There is a weather card where one side adds a card to the path deck, the other one doesn't. If I travel when it's on the card side that doesn't, do we add a cyclone to the deck?
I think you just answered the question. It doesn't.
No, it does not. This could end up with you being on the side of the weather that tells you to add the cyclone without a cyclone in the deck, but that's fine. That's how it works. Black Mud, a card you might run into in a place we won't tell you. It restricts you to placing only one progress per test. What effects bypass this? This one's a longer question.
Yeah, it's a bit of this is hard to rapid fire, but like anything that's not a test at all, obviously, we'll bypass it. Anything that's like a response to a test, so like follow in footsteps, we'll bypass it because it's not part of the effects of the test. It's like on top of the test's effects. What else?
So there's
notably cards that increase the output of a test or add effort to a test.
Right.
Do not bypass that.
Yeah.
So is it trail markers that increases how much progress you
so
add
trail
on a
markers
particular
won't work.
test?
Yep. But following footsteps would.
Yeah. Yep. And an Orland hiking staff will just place progress without the need for a test altogether.
Now, how about challenge effects that happen during a test?
That's true. Again, if it alters the output of the test, then it will work. If it's something on top of that, like Perfect Day, then it will work.
All right.
Yeah.
Rapid fire done.
Rapid fire done.
Okay. So now we are moving on to the rules sickos section.
Rules sickos. Oh God.
people who aren't sickos can leave. The rest of you stick around.
Can we start a spin-off podcast called
Rule Sickos? I kind of love that. Actually, it'd be kind of like just a pod. It's kind of like the equivalent of, almost the foil to YouTube shows that like teach you how to play the games.
Yeah.
Instead, it's just about minutia.
Just minutia, yeah.
And every time you do a different game and just really get into it.
I think we found the episode title.
Rule Sickos.
Bolt the bird.
Yeah.
What'd you say?
Bolt the bird.
Magic.
I like that.
All right. So let's see. How do I want to do these ones? I can't just hand over to you because a lot of them are long here.
Yeah,
I also did not edit down this list from everything you dumped in here.
Oh boy. Let's not do. We're not going to do all of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, if everybody has another 4 hours, we could get to all of them.
Well, so we have a few questions here that we've lumped into kind of a broader category. Oh yeah, by the way, I was trying to, short of like our weather question, or our weather effects question just there, I was previously attempting to explain everything we were talking about so that a listener who isn't hyper familiar with the games could still kind of follow along. That's over now.
Yeah, that's over.
We're just going to reference cards by name, and you got to keep up. Welcome to the Rule Sickos section. So, we're at Spire.
You won't run into these as often as a new player.
Yeah, and to give you spoiler tolerance for this section, we are going to be talking about some specific path cards, locations. We already have a little bit, but path cards and locations and things that show up. We will, and I think there's a couple that reference reward cards here. We'll generally still be trying to avoid story spoilers, and I don't think we really dip into Legacy, but we are going to be talking about locations you might visit around the valley, just to warn you. All right, we're at Spire. We traveled to Spire via the Whispering Fields, via Grasslands. So we have Whispering Fields in play. They both override. Let's also say we've traveled to Spire. We've journeyed to Spire, so we have our Ranger tokens on Spire. So they're both overriding the path draw effect. Whispering Fields tells you to draw that instead. Spire tells you to draw from the Spire deck. Where do I draw from?
All right, well, first of all, if they're both replacing the same event, I can choose which one I'm going to apply first.
Yes, so we do have the delightful rule that we... I believe we put into the second printing and is also up on our website. It was not in the first printing explicitly, but this is basically anytime there are conflicting effects, you choose. And you can choose what's best for you. The delightful rule is basically explicitly a wink to a work of Maxine's, which is the Grim rule. Which is
the complete opposite.
You just do the worst for you.
Yeah, you do the worst thing with respect to you winning the scenario.
That's, I mean, I think perfect for their respective games.
Yes, absolutely.
Though I will say some of the most fun I've had playing games is like James Niffen and I would take that and apply that more broadly to basically any time we were playing or playtesting a game, especially all the co-op games we worked on in the board game department at FFG. Anytime we got to an uncertain ruling, we were always determined to rule it in whatever way was worst for us. And there were some fun times when it's like, what is worst for us? And like, we get into this deep debate about which thing is the worst thing that could happen to us.
Absolutely.
Anyway, sorry, off script. So this says, after this when you would draw a path card, instead attach it face down to this feature. When you would draw one path card, if your Ranger token is on this location and there are cards remaining in the Spire deck, you may draw one card from the Spire deck instead.
Yeah.
So I think the most interesting version of this question is if you order the Spire effect first, and you choose to change your normal path deck draw to a Spire deck draw.
Right.
And then the question is, does this replace... Now, the Spire deck is full of path cards. So don't I apply this replacement effect that says when you would draw a path card? Attach it face down to the Whispering Fields?
No. Because we take when you would draw a path card to mean from the path deck. Oddly enough.
Yes. So they're both replacing the same effect.
Yeah.
And so you choose between
choose which one you want to do.
Which of these you trigger.
Yeah. Probably taking from the Spire deck, to be honest.
Wildly superior,
Yeah.
Usually a little better for you.
Yeah, filled with helpful people and things.
This is like one of those effects where if I was your GM and like
Right.
GMing Rangers,
Sure.
I would tell you, you draw from the Spire deck and you put it under Whispering Fields.
Yeah.
But I'm not GMing, and per how our rules are structured for other reasons,
Right.
you choose.
It is funny to conceptualize Dace leaping out of the fields, though.
Yeah, maybe the Whispering Fields aren't on the island of Spire itself.
Yeah, I mean, that's how I've headcanoned it. The fields are kind of in the outlying region around Spire.
Yeah, the part that originally tripped me up about this question is the part Maxine pointed out, is because I'm drawing a card from the Spire deck. Aren't I still drawing a Path card? Because
Right.
all those cards in the Spire deck are the Path card type of card. But the clarifier was, like Maxine pointed out, that when an effect says when you would draw a Path card, it specifically means when you would draw a card off the top of that Path.
Yeah, so it's really kind of saying when you would draw a card from the Path deck, but that's longer.
Yeah, card games have a lot of, in general, have a lot of invisible text because there's only so much space on cards, you know?
Well, and Rangers 2 made a decision early on to try to structure the rules and talk about things in a way that sound like kind of common English more often,
right.
or say things in a little more narrative way.
Warm language as opposed to cold logical language.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so we made some decisions like that consciously that are going to be a little harder to read, but mean that the card effects read a little bit more like English.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes for the better, sometimes for the worse. Like, I think those of you who have seen Eidolon now can see that, like, you know, another game by Earthborne, you know, designed by Michael and Corey, of course, but, like, Eidolon uses, and will continue to use, very precise, consistent language. It's this competitive game that's, like, trying to be very programmatic, right? So we're not going to make that same stylistic choice there. But I think Rangers is going to continue to do zany effects that where we have to kind of figure it out on the back end, whereas Eidolon is going to try to stay a lot more precise. I'm speaking for Corey as he's staring into my eyes from behind the camera.
So hit me with another replacement effect.
Okay, yeah. So we got other replacement effects. What happens if Whispering Fields, so still in Whispering Fields,
yes.
This one does a lot of replacing, would replace a Predator's ambush fatigue with an injury. So
right.
Its challenge effect here says, so you can put a random attached face down card into play. So you take a card from under it, put it into play. If it has the ambush keyword, suffer one injury instead of the fatigue. If it would replace Predator's ambush fatigue with an injury, but the Predator, due to the Fundamentalist or another effect, has 0 presence, so it would not cause you any fatigue.
Or if you prevent the fatigue through some other...
Yes, yeah. So if you prevent all of that fatigue, does that Predator still injure you?
No, because we are treating this suffer one injury instead of the fatigue as a replacement effect. So if you're not suffering any fatigue, then you don't do the replacement.
Mm-hmm. Correct. So because it says instead of this, and that this is not happening.
Yeah.
Yep.
For the record, like, replacement effects are effects that say something like, when you would do this instead, or even just the shorthand of do this instead of this, or something like that. Anything that reads like that, that's a replacement effect. That's what we're talking about.
Yep. Before this episode, I told I was going to give like a disclaimer about our priorities rules, like rulings, and I didn't actually say that.
Sure.
I'll say it now, since I think this one is something we haven't really ruled on already in the FAQ. So, we're obviously making some rulings on the game, but we want to make sure that, like, how you resolve the rules here is pretty clear. You know, we do a lot of different talking. So if you're in doubt, if you're coming to this episode like 2 years down the road and we've changed our mind or something.
Is that allowed?
Changing our mind?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The first and most important place you can look for rules answers is on the Living Valley, which you can find through our website. There we have an FAQ. And also we keep the Living Valley updated with all the latest errata or rulings or clarifications. So if you see it on there, that takes priority over anything else you see, even from old recordings of us or Discord. Following that, in our Discord, we have a rules chat. There, Maxine makes, ChubFrog helps plenty of people, and Maxine makes some official rulings. We've made like an official rulings channel.
Yeah.
That's kind of our next tier. So these are like a lot of questions Maxine is answering or like making rulings on. That'll be kind of your next priority of looking for rules clarifications. FAQ and website take precedent over that. But that takes precedent over stuff like this, of us just talking about it. We're just trying to help out, but like these are not like, please do not like canonize these for all time somewhere or anything, you know, like.
We're hoping we get it right, but we're also live on camera, so.
Yeah, we will enshrine any of these that we think are important or common enough on the website for you to look up.
But Fisher, if I hear it come out of your mouth, I trust you.
That's unwise, yeah. I think I've established that I have very little filter remaining. I don't know if you guys get this, but I like the longer I talk in a day, like the more meetings I have, I feel like the filter, you know, that filter between your brain and your mouth.
Oh yeah.
It's like it gets worn out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like the filter gets worse and worse the more meetings I have in that day.
It's like the filter in my cat fountain. It just gets like worn down, like, stuffed with fur, and this metaphor is breaking down.
That's how Fisher's neural pathways work.
Yeah.
It's stuffed with fur.
But we're on our second recording of the day, and we went out to lunch, so it's just, you know, don't trust a word out of my mouth, Sean.
Yeah, I don't know about you, but my brain is filled with taco meat right now, so.
Yeah. Oh, that was so good. We went to Centro. It was
so good.
Okay, so next up in my replacement card effects questions, we have a question on a new card. One, I think that's going to be featured in many Sean question, but you already built a deck that tried to abuse this card. But the Tale of Two Rivers is a Tail Spinner card from Stewards of the Valley. What happens if I play Tales of Two Rivers, but my fatigue stack is empty? Is the original event, draw from the deck, still replaced by the new event, draw a card from your fatigue stack, even though the new event will have no result?
We didn't prep for this one. I'm actually not sure. I think I would wager the answer is no.
Let's see here. Is the original event?
When are Ranger Scouts and or draws cards from their deck? You do stuff from their fatigue stack instead. So it's a replacement effect, just like the ones that we were just talking about.
But the question is, can you replace? So we've talked about.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
So we've talked a little bit about
the
like.
Question in my head.
It's almost the reverse. We've talked about like what happens if the thing you're going to replace doesn't exist.
Right.
But this is the inverse, which is what happens if the thing you're replacing the original thing with doesn't exist. The new thing doesn't exist. Right. Can you still replace the original effect?
No.
No? All right.
Right?
I don't know.
Oh my gosh.
It's the law now.
Is it? Well, this is why we put the disclaimer ahead of this.
So, for example, like, sorry, I didn't mean to ambush you with a question.
No, it's okay. I just don't remember.
So, like, I think probably the most relevant time here would be if you're about to draw from an empty deck and lose the game.
Yes.
But my fatigue stack is also empty. Could I play Tale of Two Rivers to basically prevent that draw? And draw, even though I don't have a fatigue stack to draw from, would that keep me going for one more turn?
So instead of drawing from the deck, if that works, instead of drawing from the deck, I would attempt to draw from the fatigue stack, even though there is no fatigue stack. Does that work?
Yeah, and this is a very dangerous question for us to discuss because it could potentially mean you never end the day if you just infinitely recur Tale of Two Rivers.
Right, which you can do. Although not if you have no cards in your fatigue stack, because that's...
Unless you've attached it to a reverb blocket.
A reverb blocket that you're constantly reloading.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is a hemming and hawing we said we wouldn't do on the podcast. But I think like your original ruling of that You can't replace it with nothing.
You can't replace it if the replacement effect wouldn't happen. Is, I think, the ruling that makes the most sense.
That might cause us some challenges in other places, but I think that seems like a reasonable ruling. And, you know, like I do, Tale of Two Rivers is a dangerous card that I don't want to make more dangerous. So, yeah.
Yeah. We may revisit this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is exactly what I was hoping would happen when I came on the podcast. Everybody would just speak out.
There's an Eidolon question that I could bring up to you guys later after this.
Oh, gosh.
It relates to this, actually, in some way.
Oh, you have an Eidolon, a related Eidolon question?
Well, it's like...
Are we, like...
Oh, no.
Oh,
Here we
no.
go.
I just say, it's basically, specifically, one of our rulings is that if you have to choose between two things, you have to choose the one that advances the game state. You know? And so I feel like that's somewhat related, where it's like, if you... Drawing from an empty physiques deck does nothing, but drawing from the deck ends the day, which advances the game state. So it's like, in a way, you should almost be forced to do the one that advances the game state rather than choosing nothing.
Yeah, it's tricky though. Like we, you know, especially with related to our choices, because some of our choices, we don't advance the game state, but we care about the story, the narrative of it more. You know.
Yeah, no, it's tricky. It's different.
But Fischer, is that delightful?
Yeah.
Is that delightful?
Is never ending the day delightful? I don't know. Okay. This one's a classic one. This is a classic sticky rules question, which is what happens if Flood... so Flood is a card from the general set that can occur during some missions. What happens if Flood is attached face down to the Whispering Fields? So the Whispering Fields takes Flood, puts it face down. Then an effect on the Whispering Fields would make the Flood enter play. Does the Whispering Fields still have the extra presence from Flood being attached? So Whispering Fields, its presence is based on the number of cards attached face down to this. So we have Flood underneath it, and then it says to put this card into play. And then Flood cares about the presence of things in play. So is Whispering Fields' presence still higher?
Right, because the Flood's going to attach to the card with the highest presence.
Yes.
So it matters if the Whispering Field still has the extra 2 presence from the Flood that's attached face down to it, which we're now putting into play.
Yep. This is the classic Flood Whispering Fields has a few interesting interactions in the game. But I do believe I made a ruling on this one a while back. I don't think it made it in the FAQ, but so what happens is you take this off, and it enters the infamous liminal state. It is now in this state that is neither attached to Whispering Fields or in play. And now it is looking for a thing to attach to, following its rules. And so it is no longer attached to Whispering Fields, so Whispering Fields' presence is now lower for the sake of resolving Flood, and then Flood goes into play. Potentially not on Whispering Fields, because we just lowered its presence.
There we go.
Yep.
The liminal state.
The liminal state.
Yeah, I don't. Did we leave the moments questions in? Because
I think we did.
The liminal state. I think I referenced the liminal state in the FAQ now. There's kind of this liminal state that exists while a moment is resolving.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I notice a lot of the rules Sicko questions start with, so the Whispering Field is in play.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny.
I think we know where the Sickos like to hang out.
I talk. They're all in the tall grass.
It's true. Rules lawyers love tall grass. Let me just tell you.
They jump out at you.
Yeah.
When we were designing the game, you know, I knew there were places that we were stretching and doing some weird stuff that had these corner cases that we weren't going to be able to resolve. And I knew that Whispering Fields was going to be one of them. But it's funny because I had some guesses as to where the sticky questions would come out. And Whispering Fields was one of my guess. Flood actually, I knew from playtesting that Flood had some weirdnesses. But Flood ended up being a bigger problem than I thought it would be. There's a couple others that I thought would be big problems that really haven't come up that much. Philosopher's Garden I thought was gonna just be the biggest pain in my butt. And it barely comes up, but I think that's because nobody ever goes there. Only one character cares about that location, and I don't think a lot of people do that side activity. So.
Yeah, it's not a fun place for rangers usually, especially if they're not very aware rangers.
Yeah, you can get swamped at Philosopher's Garden.
Not literally.
I can give you some Philosopher's Garden questions if you'd like.
Oh yeah,
if you're really feeling the absence of, you really were hoping that this would raise a lot of issues. I can fill that void for you.
Okay. What happens if the game enters an infinite loop?
That's a great question. So yeah.
I was gonna say I've played 100 plus sessions of this game. It's never entered an infinite loop. How do we get the game into an infinite loop?
Extremely rare.
Yeah. Have you not had an infinite loop?
I have not had. I've constructed situations to invent an infinite loop, but I haven't actually naturally come across an infinite loop.
We tried pretty hard to not have that occur, and I'm kicking myself over this one. This one did occur for us. I don't even remember. It was in a play test or a play cast. It was in my basement. I remember sitting in my old unfinished version of this basement. I you know how you have certain like neurons, like memories burned into your neurons. Yeah. I remember like my sight lines as I was sitting at the table, like contemplating this infinite loop. So go ahead, Maxine.
Yeah. So you have an Artilope in play, and the deck is just Artilopes. It's just a pile of Artilopes. The Artilope says when you draw a Sun effect, if there's an active card with 2 or more presence, shuffle this being into the path deck and draw a path card. Let's say that there is a Velox or something in play. So I shuffle this Artilope into the path deck. I go and grab an Artilope. Wow, so surprising. And it has a Sun effect. If there's an active card with 2 or more presence, shuffle this being into the path deck, draw a path card. You will continue to do that seemingly forever because all that's left in the path deck is Artilopes. What happens?
So there's a few interesting things about this situation. So one thing, we have a rule that you would almost think would resolve this situation, which is that no challenge effect on any card can resolve more than one time.
Yeah.
So we only have so many Artilopes in the box. There's only how come this rule doesn't resolve the situation and stop this infinite loop?
Once this Artilope goes into the deck, you don't know which Artilope it is that jumps back out. It's kind of like Schrodinger's Artilope. It is neither.
In theory, you could do this 3 times, and then you know definitively that you have either done the Sun effect on all 3 cards, or cheated by doing it twice on the same card.
Yes.
But because you don't know a card, we always treat it as a brand new card when it's drawn from the deck. Right. So this does create an infinite loop, unfortunately.
So it is kind of tough to make this infinite loop happen because you have to have only Artilopes left in the deck, and also. The Whispering Fields can't be in play because if the Whispering Fields in play, then that draw is going to get replaced, and you're going to attach it face down to the Whispering Fields.
Yeah.
And so the Whispering Fields can't be in the deck because the deck has to be only Artilopes. That can't be in play. So you have to have gotten the Whispering Fields into the discard, and then somehow gotten the deck down to just Artilopes and got the appropriate card in play that makes the Artilope Sun effect trigger the draw. So it's a very, very specific situation to get this to happen.
But yeah,
we almost need the trowel.
We did get it to happen. I don't think it was the trowel. I think it was like one of the shaper cards. But yeah, we had this was the whole deck was just one Artilope, and that was that's what caused it. But anyway, this whole digression aside, anytime you hit an infinite loop, we cap how many times it can loop. Would we cap at 3?
I believe it's 3.
Okay. Yeah. So stop after 3.
Yeah, stop after 3. Do not actually continue to play out that game state forever, imprisoned in a time loop of your own making.
So the answer to this question is, hey, cut it out.
Well, but I mean, honestly, the infinite loop cap it stops something a little busted like that we kind of overlooked like this, but it was mostly there for when somebody inevitably makes a player side, like player card side, because one of the things we're debating is how many times we let it loop, because we kind of want to reward you for finding the cool trick.
Yeah.
But we also don't want you to go infinite and make the game irrelevant. And so 3 felt like a good balance where it's probably still pretty optimal to try to strive for. But
so this loop doesn't just apply to forced effects that are happening that try to keep repeating, but it also applies to voluntary effects if we're trying to keep the loop going.
If the game state keeps returning. So
famously, can I go on an anecdote real quick?
Yeah,
We
sure.
Not have time.
No, do it.
So when we were playtesting an LCG back at Fantasy Flight, we used to do nicknames for people in the credits. And Jeremy Zwern's nickname in one of our Arkham products was Jeremy went infinite again Zwern, because he went infinite like 7 times during this one iteration of this card.
That tracks.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we got Jeremy to take a look at Eidolon and do some examination, and he immediately optimized the fun out of our game. It was snarkiness aside, it's very good for it because like it helps us identify places where the optimal doesn't align with the fun, and so it's been pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what nickname we would give him in the credits for Eidolon, but. Anyway, we should probably answer a couple more questions before stuff we're into.
Yeah.
We probably don't have time. Sean went on a
Fisher, this is what I'm into.
Stuff we're into. More rules questions.
Other stuff we're into.
I'm staring down a 12-part question, but I guess before I just start going down the list again, Sean, you put a bunch of these in here yesterday. Do you have any favorites you want to call out while we still have time?
Oh, I'm not looking at the list.
I will pull
for my end of the table.
Fatiguing out in the middle of a campaign guide entry is an interesting topic.
Do the campaign guide entry.
Can you...
the Deep Woods one is pretty fun.
Okay, yeah, the Deep Woods one is interesting. All right, set us up.
Yeah, set us up.
All right, so the Deep. Can you find me the Deep Woods?
Yeah, I'll find the Deep Woods.
So the Deep Woods has a test that lets you put your Ranger token on the Deep Woods, and then once your Ranger token is on the Deep Woods, you have access to a response. When a being fatigues you, you may add any number of harm to this feature to prevent an equal amount of fatigue. So the interesting thing is, the most interesting version of this is if you try to perform the hide test on the Deep Woods again. Now you wouldn't normally have much reason to do this because the hide test lets you put your Ranger token on the Deep Woods. That's all it does. But we're presupposing that your Ranger token's already on the Deep Woods.
Okay. Yep.
And you want to perform the hide test again anyway, just because you want to annoy Maxine and Fischer. And so you're performing the hide test, and you have a number of beings within reach of you that you have to interact past. And so
let's say 6 presents worth of beings.
6 presents seems like a good number.
Let's say just to choose a random number.
Sure. So I interact past these beings, and the first step of a test. So the 5. Let's recap the 5 steps of a test. Right. We're gonna suffer interaction fatigue.
Yeah.
We're going to commit effort, including our energy approach icons and other sources. And we're gonna draw a challenge card. And then we're going to resolve success or failure, and then we're going to have challenge effects. So the very first step of the test, we're going to determine what we're interacting with, and things are going to fatigue us. Now, we're suffering 6 fatigue from these beings and within reach of us, as we've so contrived. And then we're going to have this response: when a being fatigues you may add any number of harm to this feature to prevent an equal amount of fatigue. So I'm going to add 6 harm to this feature to prevent all the fatigue from these beings. And now I've cleared the Deep Woods, and we're in step 1 of the test that's on the Deep Woods, and we have not yet committed our 1 required energy.
And now the Deep Woods is gone.
Right.
And we haven't even committed anything.
Right.
Yeah.
Now
you can't 1 required energy for the test.
You can't perform a test unless you've committed 1 energy to the test. And we've already started performing the test, but there's no more test to commit energy to.
Yeah, and you just like this one because of how I ruled it, which is I ruled it that you don't commit any energy and the test is just over.
Test fizzles.
So I've taken a turn without spending any energy on anything.
Yeah, all you did was you...
I just picked up this card and put it in the discard, and then I said, all right, Maxine, your turn.
You hid...
Top that.
You hid from some creatures inside the woods.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's all you did.
And then the woods went away.
Turn done.
Done.
I'm sure there's probably some interest, because like your question about did I resolve a test? So if we did a trigger that was like after
a test ends, or
we normally do after you succeed or fail, but like
sure, yeah.
after you perform a test, do X. Does that trigger after this?
I don't know. I mean,
I didn't. This wasn't part of my ruling, so this one's improv.
Is there a response like that exists?
No,
I don't think so. So it's kind of a moot point, but I would say you went through this. You initiated a test, that's for sure.
It's a moot point, but rules sickos need to know.
Well, you didn't resolve the test. You never finished it,
you
right?
never finished it.
It was interrupted.
Yeah.
So I think I might rule that your test was interrupted, therefore it doesn't trigger any.
So you didn't resolve a test, but did you perform a test?
Oh my god. I think we just keep our language to talk about the resolution, like if you succeed or fail, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one's nasty.
Yeah, that one's fun.
Note to self: don't write any effects like that.
Yeah. Note to myself. Gotta avoid that.
Let's see here. Oh, you've got the stupid unique token one on there. I don't know about that one.
Yeah.
That one gets into sticky stuff from the expansion wording. Different personality cards have different number of icons depending on how much energy is in your pool.
Yeah.
What happens if you spend the energy after you commit the card? At what point in the test does it matter? Oh, yes. So so you have the cards where the number of icons on them is equal to the amount of energy in your pool.
Right.
So
the classic case is determined, which counts how much focus is on your aspect card.
Mm-hmm.
And then you play Face Your Fears.
Right. So the number of icons on determined depends on how much focus energy I have in my pool. And then after I commit determined, then I play Face Your Fears to commit more effort.
Yeah.
But now have I spent my energy and reduced the number of icons on determined?
Yeah, well, and that's like, I mean, the base level version of this rules question is dead simple, which is like, what if I already committed that energy to the test?
Right.
And in that one's pretty straightforward. That's just how the card works, is like that energy's gone, it's not in your pool. But the Face Your Fears and other spends are interesting.
So
like
I spend the energy after I've already committed the card. Did my effort lock in the moment I committed that card? Did we count the icons then? Or do we count the icons at some later point in the test?
Well, so I think I previously ruled to you. So step 1 is you choose the test, suffer the fatigue. Step 2 is commit all the effort, which you do in order of energy, approach icons, and then other sources.
Right.
Step 3 is you apply the modifier. That is when you draw the challenge card, apply that modifier to determine your final effort. And then step 4 is determining and resolving success or failure. I think when we talked about this previously, I told you, I don't even know if it was in regards to this or something else.
I think this was the example.
So I ruled at the end of step 2, your effort is locked in. That's your committed effort, no matter what changes past this point.
So in other words, the way you ruled it, since Face Your Fears is played during step 2, that would reduce the number of icons on the personality, and so by the end of step 2, that card I committed is now worth less effort than it was.
Yeah.
And so my test effort is not as high as I want it to be.
In other words, that's a non-vote.
Yeah. Though interestingly, if you then played something that modifies the challenge deck draw, like What May Never Be.
Yeah. Or what's the Throng of Life?
Those would not affect your committed effort because
Right.
it's after the lock-in at step 2.
Yeah.
Not sure how I feel about that. Like, I think Maxine, as the lead designer now, it's something you're going to have to determine. Like, because like I know
so much power.
Well, I mean, like we're to give slight spoilers ahead. We're designing a card right now that gives you a choice a little bit later in the test sequence that could interact with this ruling in a weird way.
That's a good point.
But I think you made the point the other day that we could on that card just because the cards override the rules.
Yeah.
Like you could just specify in the card that this does change your effort, even though it's outside of this ruling.
Right.
So you're saying Maxine can write whatever she wants on the card, and that's what happens.
Turns out Maxine can write whatever she wants on these cards.
Whatever I want on all cards forever till the end of time. I think that's demonstrably untrue.
So I guess, to kind of like slightly messily wrap up this question, right now, the ruling on the board is that at the end of step 2, your committed effort is locked in. Whatever the total of cards is there is now what your committed effort is. We roll with that number throughout the rest of the test sequence. However, this is something we'll be kind of re-examining because there are some interesting card effects that we may want to mess with a different timing window. So like, I could see one solution to that being changing this ruling to like lock in after step 3 or something.
Potentially, I could see that too.
I love it when you change a ruling because then I get to unleash a new salvo of follow-up questions.
Or we don't, or we keep it.
Yeah, never mind. We like it.
I feel so appreciated here.
Yeah, I'm so glad to have you in the cities. Get out of here.
Got anything else, or are we moving on to things we're into?
Okay, this is kind of a related topic.
Right.
Can you use the same card twice to commit effort? Can a card be both committed and played during the same test? And if it is, do its icons count? So when we commit cards, we tell you to just discard the card. But then we do have ways that cards can be played from the discard. Mm-hmm. So can I discard it to commit the effort and play it from the discard?
Recall. Let me grab that Face Your Fears again.
Yeah, determined and face your fears is probably a good example.
In this case, face your fears with perfect recall.
Or no, sorry, face your fears with perfect recall. Yeah.
So I commit Face Your Fears to a test, gets discarded. Then I play perfect recall to play it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So we're adding effort with face your fears both from the icons we've committed and from playing the card both to the same test. Is that legal? Is it in liminal space? Is it in a liminal state when I commit it? Can I play it even though it's already been committed to this test? Is it off limits since it's already been committed?
So yeah, we've talked about like this. There's actually like an earlier version of this rule book where everything that was committed is kind of like not in play, right, until the test resolves, and then you discard it. But like that was, when we were doing some blind testing with people of like learning the game, this kind of extra state of stuff got like, when does it move and what does that trigger, got kind of confusing for people.
So we made the game much more straightforward now, and it's very clear what happens.
Well, I mean, these niche things don't come up as much when learning the game, right? Yeah. And so like just you discard the cards, done, to learn the game, like was a lot more approachable for people. Right. As part of the reason we made this decision. But it does create this kind of this tricky thing. We talked about for rules, questions, wordings, bringing back the liminal space during the test, but I don't think we ever did.
Right.
So I think currently that is legal. You could commit Face Your Fears, it's discarded, then you could play it, and so it could be both played and committed on the same test. I believe that's legal. I think.
Like,
that was your ruling back when this came up.
Yeah, it makes sense because you're like generating the effort instead of like.
Yeah, the effort is this abstract thing that's getting by discarding the card, and so yes, that it is available. Yeah, sorry, I'm muddying the rules questions by just talking about some of our logic, but we talked about bringing back the concept of this liminal state, but that creates other weird questions too, and so yeah, that's the way it currently works. This is another one of those rulings where, if you're watching this video 2 years from now, definitely check our website, because like Maxine's gonna have designed so many other Ranger cards by then.
It's true.
She might have further cleaned up our rulings on this one.
Yeah.
All right. I think we're going a little long, so I'm gonna avoid the new questions.
That's probably for the best because I don't know the answer.
I think we came to some of them. But I guess, those rule sickos who want more can head over to our Discord, where Maxine will be tackling all 12 parts of the moment tests. Yeah. Oh, yes. These are group test questions.
Group test questions.
12-part group test questions.
Yeah.
Fisher's just committed you to answering.
I'm committed to answering them. It's my job.
Yeah.
So I think I'm committed to answering them at some point.
She got committed to that when she signed up.
I've been like so busy, you guys.
Hey, you just put a shadow drop product that we never talk about to the factory.
And we're never going to talk about it.
Yeah.
Never again.
Nobody will see it coming.
Except for everyone who listens to our podcast or watches any of our videos or interacts with us in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah. Who's ever spoken to us.
Yeah.
All right. Think we covered a lot of good ground, but we are still doing a podcast after all.
It's true.
So we should talk about stuff we're into.
Let's do it.
Sean, as our visitor, do you want to start, or do you want one of us to go first?
Well, we've been talking about stuff I'm into for this entire time,
All right, Maxine, what are you into?
Oh gosh. So we were talking about this question earlier today, and we're like, what am I into? I've just been busy with other things currently. I talked about the book that I read recently that I really liked, which is The Spirit Bears Its Teeth by Andrew Joseph White. I talked extensively about Deltarune. What else is going on with me?
You're like running 2 different RPG campaigns.
I am running, that's right. I did recently wrap up a dragon fight in our Daggerheart campaign, which was really, really fun. It was like a 2.5 to 3 hour long boss fight. It was wicked cool. The dragon had 3 phases with 9 hit points per phase, which is a lot of hit points in Daggerheart. Mm-hmm. And it was just a really good fight. Which I enjoy greatly. Also starting up a new D&D stream with some friends.
Okay, hang on. So you have 2 Daggerheart campaigns
and I'm starting a new D&D stream.
Maxine,
so I used to, yeah.
We've been trying, Corey, Andrew, Patrick, and I have been trying to finish an ARCS campaign. ARCS campaign is 3 games, and we're never going to finish. And you have 3 different campaigns going.
See, I don't have this thing where I don't have, like, a family.
Yeah, 3 out of 4 of us have kids.
Yeah, I have kids, and like, yeah. I have my cat. So we used to stream D&D all the time, me and some of my online friends, and then especially over the pandemic, that was like our big activity, and then we kind of stopped, and I miss it. So I actually suggested like, hey, can we stream this campaign? And they were surprisingly, everyone was like, yeah, sure, let's stream it, which is great because I love having like that backlog that I can go back and rewatch certain scenes that were really fun or certain combat encounters that were interesting. And also, like, especially over the pandemic, it was really fun to go back and rewatch some stuff because I kind of got to see my transition timeline in progress, which is really fun. But anyway, so we're starting a new stream.
Are you dragon mastering this stream?
No, okay. Dragon mastering.
Sorry, I had to get the reference in.
Of course.
Go watch Game Changer. If you don't watch Game Changer, I think we're into Game Changer. Sean isn't. Maxine and I are into Game Changer.
Yeah. No, I'm actually just playing in it, and it's really fun because we decided to roll down the line this time around. Which, if you don't know D&D very well, what that means is instead of rolling stats or just picking stats from an array, and then choosing where they go. So like, oh, I want 18 strength because I'm a fighter. You know what I mean? Instead, you just roll strength first, then dex, then con, etc., etc., etc.
Are you doing 3d6 down the line?
No, we're doing 46. keep the 3 highs. But that doesn't mean that it's not harsh, because I have 5 constitution.
Oh yeah. Wizard time.
No, I'm a rogue.
Oh, okay.
I'm a halfling rogue because my goal is to just never get hit. Because I have 8 hit points at level 3.
Okay,
That's terrible.
What do you have on that dexterity?
I do have 18 dex.
Okay.
That's why I picked rogue.
Yeah, that makes sense.
We rolled first and then decided classes. So I have 18 dex, 16 wiz, 16 con, 8 charisma, and like 10 strength or something like that.
Okay, but you can't.
So, like, yeah.
Like, you know, that constitution's rough, but you made up for it. Yeah.
Like, honestly, if that constitution was 8, it would be like a pretty standard D&D character.
Yeah, but like your hit points are just going to be abysmal.
My hit points are nothing.
Yeah.
But halflings in 2024 D&D can hide behind medium-sized creatures. So I'm just going to hide behind the rest of my team and just poke my head out and shoot things and then come back and then hope that no one uses any AoE attacks ever. So it'll be fun. If you're interested in watching, well, I don't know what channel it'll be on now, but it'll probably be on my friend Nicholas Corey's channel, who is also one of the new game designers for Arkham Horror the Card Game. So.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
Cool.
My longtime DM, I've handpicked to continue on Arkham.
Nice.
Sweet.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, that sounds fun. I wish I had more time to do RPGs like that.
So honestly, I'm surprised that I'm able to pull it off because I also do band practice and I also do a couple other things and I also go out a lot. So, but we're only playing like every other week, I think.
Okay.
So that's gonna help.
Yeah. That does
and
help.
it's alternating with my other online Daggerheart campaign. So, and then the other Daggerheart campaign is in person and that's on a different day. So it all works out.
It all sequences out. Yeah. Ooh. Oh, cool. Are you into anything else? Not that isn't enough.
No, just been watching a lot of YouTube, and I've been watching people react to Deltarune, which we kind of talked about a little bit in the car over here. But like, I can only experience it once, and I love to experience other people experiencing it. Mm-hmm. And so many of the people in my life could care less. And I like trying to thrust Deltarune on people to get them to play it. And when they don't, I inevitably just go on YouTube and watch other people play it.
Yeah, I can see that. There's like a social experience of kind of seeing other people love it as much as you do.
Yeah, or just get surprised by it, or run into the interesting situations that happen if you're poking at every single thing in the game. There's some things that pop up, and
it's like a way of remembering what it felt like when you first experienced those things.
Exactly. It's exactly that. Yeah.
Yeah, there was a period of my life where I was living with two of my really good friends. And we only had one big TV in our apartment. And when a new big game came out, I think like at the time like Uncharted 2 I think came out.
Yeah.
We would all just play through it, and the other two of us would watch the other person. And so you kind of, based on your work schedules, some people would like leapfrog. And so we'd see almost every moment from the game like 3 times, right? But like you kind of get these different like reactions each time, or like, the two of you experience it, and then your friend's been at work, and then you're like, oh, you got to see this part of the game. Like, we're going to sit here and watch you play like this really like interesting part. So and I could see kind of simulating some of that feeling by like watching other people, streamers and stuff play it.
Yeah, one of my favorite experiences in college, we kind of took over the 8th floor of our dorm, like me and all my friends. Like there was almost no one on that floor who wasn't in on the group. And at one point I was playing Shadow of the Colossus in like the common area of the dorm, of the floor. And I started to amass a crowd because Shadow of the Colossus is so cinematic and so fun to watch. Yeah. And at one point there was like 12 people watching as I did like the finale, and it was,
That's awesome.
It's so cool. Yeah.
I like so you said practically took over the floor, and then immediately made my imagination go to like this one floor normie.
Yeah, that was the thing. Because we took over that floor 2 years in a row, and there was at least 1 year where there was like 2 people on the floor who weren't part of the group, and they were like, what is happening? Like they have Rock Band just set up perpetually in the common area at all hours, and they're playing it. They're constantly playing this Twilight Imperium game all the time, or Axis and Allies or whatever.
I forgot how much you've played TI.
We played Twilight Imperium once to twice a week, every week for like 3 years of college.
Yeah, so how many games do you think you've amassed of TI?
I mean, it has to be somewhere between 50 to 100 a year, so at least 250 games, I would say.
Wow.
And that's just the games that we played in college. That's not even counting like all the other ones.
Yeah, so that's mostly probably 3rd edition.
That was all 3rd edition.
Okay, yeah.
I never got to play 1st or 2nd edition. I picked it up at 3rd edition when I was in high school.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's 3rd edition is when it like got popular, right?
Yeah, I found it in a Walden books.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I begged my dad to buy it. I'm like, please, 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 please. I know it's $100, but please, I want it so bad. It's so cool. That was my introduction to Fantasy Flight. Actually.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it was Twilight Imperium.
Mine, as with a lot of people, I think was Arkham Horror 2nd.
Do you want to hear my second introduction to Fantasy Flight is? Believe it or not, Wiffer 3rd edition.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Represent.
I saw it in the comic book store, and I was like, this is so cool. It's like a role-playing game, but it's got like board game tokens and stuff, and it's got like, all kinds of components, and I love it. And I at the time I was also playing Warhammer Online, so I was really into the world. So
Wifrup got 2 our 3rd edition of Wifrup got 2 reactions. That and then that, except in a very disdainful tone of voice.
I've got all these board game components.
In my RPG.
Components of my RPG.
I mean, it's especially people who love Second Ed, because Second Ed was a pretty like hardcore game, and then this was very J Little, It
was cool. I liked it a lot.
Well, I mean, so did I, but I'm biased.
Yeah.
All right, stuff I'm into. I actually haven't gotten... So, like, I think the last time I was on the podcast, I promised I was going to start Baldur's Gate. And I'm, like, a little past character creation. So that was a
character creation is at least, like, 2 hours.
Yeah, it did take me some time. Well, and then there was this whole saga where my computer was throttling hard and overheating, and through a bunch of experimentation, I figured out the vapor chamber was broken, and it's beyond warranty. So then I found somebody with a scrapped version to replace my vapor chamber. So I got their old vapor chamber eBayed to me, destroyed my laptop, put it back together. Anyway, all of that. Ironically, I was doing it partially to play Baldur's Gate, but then I never got back to Baldur's Gate yet.
The curse.
But a thing I did to complete that I thought would be cool to talk about, because I don't think I've talked about it on the podcast, but is, so my friends and I have kind of this casual book club we do on our friend Discord, and we just finished the Lycanius trilogy, which is a fantasy trilogy by this guy, James Islington? I think Islington. He's a pretty junior fantasy author. He was mostly inspired by Brandon Sanderson, so it's kind of got some of those Brandon Sanderson vibes and like writing style a little bit. You can tell his inspiration. He's a little more junior, so there's some rough edges. You can see his writing style evolve through it, but it was pretty rad. Like, and it's just a trilogy, and it's this really tight story, and like you can really tell he kind of architected all three books together. It doesn't like it almost doesn't feel like, so there's some trilogy where they feel like three independent books. This feels like basically one long book effectively. They all kind of tie pretty closely together. And so that was pretty fun. That was a pretty fun experience. It's fun to read it with your friends and get to talk each week about it. We'd like, get together and play Warhammer or something and talk over the latest chapters of the book. It's one thing that I don't think is much of a spoiler. It comes up fairly quickly, but he's inspired by Brandon Sanderson, but one of the things Brandon Sanderson will not touch in his writing, there's certain things that, well, I shouldn't say won't touch in his writing, won't touch in the Cosmere, his broader universe. One, immutable rule of the Cosmere, or I guess there's two. One, you can't travel faster than the speed of light. And then two, there's no time travel. Slightly related.
Goes hand in hand.
Yeah. And the writer of these, James Islington, I should have looked up how to pronounce his last name. He was like, no, screw that, I want time travel. So it's this high fantasy book, but it has time travel in it. But in this really cool way. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, like, would you categorize it as a time travel story, or is it a story that happens to have time travel in it?
It's right on the line.
Okay.
I think it is a time travel story. By the end of the trilogy, it is a time travel story. Okay. But it is not like 12 Monkeys Looper, convoluted. The who can time travel and how is very limited by the magic system. And so that keeps it very controlled. But it embraces grandfather paradoxes and stuff. And it's how one of the classic questions, what kind of time travel is it? And that's, I won't spoil too much, but one of the really cool things about the book series is that that's kind of a plot point, is Lycanius, the name of the trilogy, is their fantasy language is the word for fate. And so one of the core conceits of it is there is some disagreement about how time travel works and how time travel should work, and whether or not it is being controlled or manipulated, and whether that's a good or a bad thing. And there's all these questions of fate and destiny and these things kind of intertwined with time travel. And so it's a little bit of a spoiler that involves that, but not too much, because I think it's what makes this series cool. And he really has this kind of clockwork plot design that really is pretty satisfying to see all come together. That being said, like I said, he's a little bit more of a junior writer, and I'd say his characterizations are pretty weak. There was a point later in the books where one character gets a bunch of power, and I was like, oh wow, what does this mean? And I tried to, for our book club, I was trying to unpack what does it mean for this character to be so powerful, and I couldn't really come up with an answer because I just didn't know that much about them. Just because their characterization was just kind of weak throughout the books. So it's very plot driven, not very character driven, but I think that's fine. The plot is pretty well done.
Yeah. As long as the plot's good, then that's good.
Yeah. So that was fun. We're taking a little bit of a break from the fantasy. We're actually reading a leadership book right now, like a nonfiction. We're like reading some Brene Brown, and then we're going to go back to, I think, sci-fi next.
Cool.
We're talking about doing The Expanse.
The Expanse, I've read book 1, and I started book 2. It's so good. It's really good.
I've watched the show, but I've never read it.
I've heard... Is this true? I've heard that it's based on like an RPG campaign.
Yeah, I heard that as well. Yeah.
That's so cool.
I know.
The fact that that's true, like, boggles my mind because it's so well developed. And it must have been like an intense campaign.
Yeah, because like I've read some other series, like Malazan Book of the Fallen is based on multiple RPG campaigns, but like it is about the exact level of mess you'd expect from multiple RPG campaigns, whereas The Expanse the world feels very cohesive, right?
Yeah. One thing I really like about The Expanse is it has the thing where there's 2 characters, or maybe 2 groups of characters, that like start off so in like different parts of the universe, and like they have different things going on, different plot points, and they slowly begin to converge over the course of the book. And it's just wild to see, like, oh my god, it's starting to make sense. It's starting to make sense why these characters both exist in the novel, because otherwise you could just cut one out and just focus on, you know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Yeah, like, why are they relevant? Like, how did the A and B plot come back together?
Yeah. It's kind of like Game of Thrones has so many different characters, and it's almost like, it's almost too many characters. You can cut a bunch out and it'd still be fine, but it's cool to see how they interact.
You get into book 3 and beyond, and there are some Shaggy Dog stories in there.
Yeah, for sure. But it is cool when they do intersect, and then it's like, oh, I see why this character is here now. You know.
That's cool. Yeah, I've wanted to read it for a long time. We're a little intimidated by it because our book club has thus far stuck to shorter series. So
yeah, this is like a 12-book series or something like that. Yeah.
But like I said, we actually, kind of a proto version of this book club years ago, read through Malazan, which is 10 books, and they're big books.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway, that's the stuff I'm into.
Just the core 10? You didn't do all the...
No. Hey, on our candidates for the next book, a couple of our Malazan fans did put some of the other, like the Esselmont stuff.
Yeah.
They added it. And like there's I think he started the Karsa Orlong series now too. But I don't know. Malazan is a lot. So I'm still interested in exploring other things first, so I did not vote for it for this one.
You don't want just the rest of your book club forever to just be Malazan.
Yeah, ideally not. But we will probably go back to it. Anyway, Sean, you're not going to get away with just saying you're into rules. What are you into?
Well, I haven't been had much time to play things lately outside of Rangers. A lot of my time's been tied up with work and with home ownership, which would it bore our viewers to listen to some new homeowner stories?
Well, it's stuff we're into or we're excited about in life. So are you excited about your home ownership?
I have mixed feelings about it.
Yeah, I was going to say, your tone of voice doesn't say you're excited.
It's an exciting thing, but it also comes with headaches, which I was well warned about before becoming a homeowner. Everybody was sure to thoroughly warn me. There's going to be things coming up all the time you just have to deal with, and you'll start one small project and it will lead into several other problems you didn't know about.
Yeah, my inspector. One of the things my inspector told me was like, every project you're tackling is 3 projects. Right. The project you're doing and the 2 projects underneath it you don't see yet.
Right. So I've been a homeowner for just a few months, but I could give you several examples of exactly that. To give you one of them, I had a leaky pipe in my basement, so I had a plumber come out to look at the leaky pipe and take care of it. But while the plumber was out there, he noticed the water shutoff valve for my house. It was like original from 70 years old from when the house was built, and it's all rusted out. And he's like that water valve's going to be a problem. Mm-hmm. You should replace that, because if you ever need to shut the water after your house, that rusty old thing could just break off in your hand, and then you'll just have a flooded house and you won't be able to stop the water.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
I said, all right, well, glad you pointed that out. We'll take care of this leaky pipe, and why don't you go ahead and replace that water valve? And he said, all right, so to replace the water valve, what I'm going to have to do is set an appointment with the water utility company, because they're going to have to shut off the whole water coming to your house from the street. And then once that's shut off, I can replace this water valve. I said, all right, great, set it up. Let's get that done. And So the day comes and the water company arrives, and they're poking around in my yard for a while, and then they come to me and say, "Oh, we can't shut your water off." I said, "What do you mean you can't shut my water off? You're the water company. Why can't you shut my water off?" And they said, "Well, the looks like the previous owner of your house widened the driveway and expanded it, and so he actually paved over the water line access." So not only can we not shut your water off, so you cannot replace your valve, but you're kind of non-compliant for having water service at your house.
Okay, but at least you didn't find this out while water was pouring into your basement.
Yes, it was a good thing to not find out at this moment. However, what was originally a leaky pipe that I wanted to get patched ended up becoming the water company digging up my driveway to create a new water access. So this is just one of several stories like this that's come up just in the first few months of home ownership. So I've had a baptism by fire.
So you said 70 years old. So your house is from the 50s?
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. This one's 47. So
okay.
I've dealt with there's like all these things. Even when we were redoing this basement, as soon as they touch one, have to get one thing inspected. All things dependent on that need to be up to code, and then it's like, well, your house is from 80 years ago, so you don't have this and this and this, and
right,
it's just,
right. Yeah. But as soon as they touch anything, all of a sudden everything has to meet code to get signed off on.
Yeah, like we're a bunch of stuff upstairs is knob and tube wiring. And we want to get an electric car, but then we have to upgrade the panel, which means we have to replace knob and tube. Now the electric car has an extra $20,000 price tag, so we're not getting an electric car.
Yeah.
So it's super fun. So I guess renting's not all bad.
Yeah, no, I have this like. Sometimes I like show up at Fisher's beautiful home, and I'm like, wow, my apartment sucks. And I feel kind of crappy. And then I hear about stuff like this, and I'm like, no, I'm good, actually. Yeah.
Like, if you knew how much my brain was thinking about if I damaged my lawn from over-applying fertilizer and, or did I mow it too short or, all this... There's so much of my brain that was used to be doing fun things and is now thinking about this place,
Yeah.
Ugh.
Now, as far as games, I know on a recent, maybe 2 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago, Andrew was talking about the game 2048.
Oh, I don't know if I was on that episode.
I don't know if you were.
Okay, so I recalled listening to Andrew on the podcast episode talking about 2048, and then on the plane flight out here, one of the 5 games available on the
nice.
plane touchscreen was 2048. Oh, that's the one Andrew was talking about. So I figured I'd give it a try, and it was a little frustrating to get used to the game. I'm not totally certain if it was because I was too stupid to understand the mechanics or because the plain touchscreen was so laggy and was developing such like a backlog of inputs that it was queuing up to then execute all at once
later as you were going.
Right. So it's like a tile. I think Andrew explained it, but it's like a tile sliding game.
Yeah.
So the first thing to get used to is you're not just sliding one tile. You all the tiles move in whichever direction you swipe as far as they can go.
Yeah.
So that was the first thing to get used to. But then once I learned that, either there was another mechanic I wasn't following or just it was a terrible touchscreen. And things kept moving in additional ways after the swipe I was trying to do. And so things would be happening, and I could never figure out why they were happening. So
that sounds like a bad touchscreen. It's just they all move in whatever direction, and they merge if they can merge, and they don't if they can't.
That's what it felt like it should have been. So
Right.
I became frustrated with the plain touchscreen, I guess. So I'll have to hold off on my actual review of 2048.
Well, I mean,
what airline were you in?
Is Delta.
Okay.
There you have it.
That's my review of the Delta passenger in-flight entertainment touchscreen.
Well, you probably just weren't understanding it. You famously can't really take on complex rule sets.
That's true. 2048 is a little advanced for me. I should stick to some more basic games.
I played a little bit of 2048, but when it came out, there was all this drama because I think it kind of copied this game Threes that was made by this indie developer, and so there was some bad blood around that and all that, and and so just because, unfortunately, I think 2048 eventually became way more widespread than Threes, and I think Threes is the more I think the original product as much as you can call any games like this the original product. So so I never got into 2048 kind of out of solidarity for that developer.
That's very similar to how I feel about Dream Quest and Slay the Spire.
Interesting.
I was a big Dream Quest fan, and then Slay the Spire came out and kind of
did the same thing.
Did the same kind, and now there's hundreds of games that are all called Slay the Spire likes.
Yeah.
But Dream Quest has been long forgotten.
Yeah, I don't think I've played Dream Quest. I'd be curious to look it up. Maybe it's good Anders couldn't make it. You get in a fight with him about Slay the Spire.
I was about to say
the other very notable thing about Dream Quest is the MS Paint graphics by the game designer, which are quite entertaining.
Okay. What were you going to say, Maxine?
I was just going to say it's a good thing Anders isn't here because I thought of something else I wanted to bring up, which is that I played Monster Train.
Uh-oh.
It's fine.
Oh, you heard that, Anders?
He's not going to watch this episode. It's too rules heavy for him.
You're right.
He's going to make it just for this moment.
It's fine. It's good. I like it.
Sounds like it.
It didn't revolutionize gaming for me.
Cut it.
No, it's fine.
Okay, it'd be kind of funny if we just.
I didn't dislike it.
But it was fine.
Yeah, it was fine.
I still haven't actually played it, so I can't really.
It's free on mobile right now.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Just the first one?
The first one. I didn't play the second one, which is, according to Anders, vastly superior. So.
Well, I mean, he also loved the first one, so.
True. Yeah.
So who can trust his taste?
So if you thought you were going to get away with this without me starting a fight between you and Anders, you might be wrong.
Oh, well, whatever.
This is going to be coming up in 2 weeks when the classic team reunites.
Yeah. Well, one downside of not having Anders with us is that we have nobody to keep us to time, and I'm pretty sure we're over. Thank you, everybody. For everybody who stuck it out with us through, thank you all you rules sickos who stuck around until the end. We greatly appreciate you. If you have other rules questions that have come from this discussion or from playing the game, head on over to the Discord. Maxine will be there answering your questions.
Yeah.
And as always, yes, as will Sean. And as always, go to our website or info@Earthborne Games or any of our social media if you want to chat with us or learn more. So thanks, everybody. We'll see you next week. Bye.